Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our talk show. Then the talk show is Voiced, and the topic today is, can we use social media and our social media talents to glorify God? I am here today with Kanya, my co-host, and our panel of guests. Kanya, over to you, love.
All right, we'll just delve right into the questions that we've gotten from the youth, with the first question coming from Gwenzi from Dumbani, and it says, how can I balance my desire for creative expression with my need for spiritual growth and maturity?
Okay. As we're living in the last days, it's important for us as Christians to spread the message to all the older my generation, like our mission says. We're at a point, I think in the Bible it says, with like the Lord will not come up until his word has reached every corner of the world. So as youths, we all have phones, we all have data, we all have internet. Those are the resources within our hands. I can't ask you to go to South Sudan and, go evangelize. But just simply posting, someone who really needs to see that, it can come across their For You page. So just using the resources we can to further the cause of God and spreading his message.
That is quite interesting. That is quite interesting. But again, there's another question here coming in from Ulutando. Ulutando says, how can I use my social media platform to make a positive impact on the world?
So like my fellow panelists was saying, right? We can't ask you right now to pick your bags, go to Sudan, right? So by posting on social media, right? You can then reach people that you may not be able to reach physically. You might not be able to go there to Afghanistan. You might not be able to go to Yemen, New Zealand, whatever. But through social media, through your phone, you can reach someone who's maybe suffering from depression, suffering from anxiety and all those other mental health disorders, or someone who just feels lonely, You can just bring a smile to their face or brighten someone's day via social media. And I feel like that's bringing a positive impact one person at a time.
Yeah. Right. I love what you said before. You said, social media brings a certain level with it, can bring either depression, sorrow, love, or, adding on to what you said. And I love the fact that you said bringing a smile. That is usually what I've seen a lot of people looking at their phones and just laughing their loud out. Because, and this other doctor one time from one of the churches of fellowship, that she goes, laughter is the best medicine. Right. And imagine you being the one doing that, putting a smile, putting a laugh within somebody else. Yeah, it's something small.
Yeah, because some people live alone and someone would have gone through a rough day. And the only way you can access them, you might not know what they went through, but through that one word of encouragement, that one Bible verse that brings joy to someone, you can then bring hope to their life. Yeah. So I think it's very important.
Yeah. True. Social media can be a form of distraction for other people who are going through a lot. And so it can be a blessing. But then there are some downfalls to social media, which brings us to a question that is anonymous. And it says, what if I face criticism or rejection? Okay. How can I respond in a way that honors God?
Being strong in your faith.
Right.
I feel like that's really the core principle, being strong in your faith, getting the support that you need, But I feel like if you're strong in your faith, why you started being an evangelist, you understand what you're doing and the impact you're having on other people's lives. Because I feel like that can also like when someone reaches out to you and they're like, no, what you say there, I really need to hear it. I was going through a rough patch, like what you were saying. You never know what people are going through. But if you're putting yourself out there and you're trying to further your cause, there might be people, there are always going to be people who are going to talk. You're always going to face backlash. But if you are strong in your faith and you're still making a difference, then I think that will please God.
To add on to his point, I'm sorry. It's very important for us to stand for our faith. And even when you're interacting or responding to such negative comments, you should remember that we are called to be peacemakers in this world. The Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. So try and respond in a way that will then help them to realize the cause that you are pushing and to not give in to rage or end up insulting someone. We are called to be the light of this world and to be peacemakers.
So again, it's interesting when Gwenzi was talking about social media and everything. But now the thing is, even in the Bible, we have people whom we can say, had social media pages. Say, for instance, David had a social media page through his music. There was people would comment if it wasn't all that, no one is gonna. Saul was never gonna call him into the palace to come and play for him. Jesus had a social media page whereby people also did criticize. That's how we ended up on the cross. So in our day-to-day lives, we get crucified on social media. We also suffer our own type of crosses within social media. Jesus suffered both word of mouth and everything, of which, people are brutal. But now how you kind of take it, channel it, or focus it, it all depends on who you are.
Per se, I post on social media and then I do not get necessarily the feedback that I would want to get. I post my Christian content and then I get someone who comments like, no, this and that, and they're actually criticizing me. We are slow to anger and we tend to then respond negatively. But then as Sandy said, we should now take that rage away and respond in a way that would glorify God.
Social media is brutal. It is brutal. It's one of the most brutal things I've ever seen. You find people now, youths committing suicides because of social media. Social media is brutal. It's brutal. Then again comes another question. Did you have something, Sandy?
No, I wanted to say, you find how Jesus responded to the Pharisees. We can say Jesus had a large following. If it was today's world, we'd say Jesus had a large following. And him having a large following, we can say the Pharisees were his ops. We can say they were his ops. For everything that he said, they would counter and they would try to bring him down. But then in everything, Jesus maintained his calm. He would respond to them in a way that wasn't pushing them away, but rather trying to show them the cause that he was fighting for.
And Lionel comes up and says, I've got a music talent, all right? How do I use my music talent to further push the word on social media?
Like you're saying, I think you spoke about depression. People go through a lot of things. And at times I've heard people saying, no, you ask them, why don't you listen to Christian music? And they're like, no, I'm going through a heartbreak and I don't really it's not really speaking to my needs. So I think as musicians, if you try and tackle what people are going through.
Relate to what people are feeling.
Yes. If I can relate to what you post, if I can relate to what you sing, then it's easier for me to listen to what you're saying, It's easier for me to follow your own beliefs. So if we're more relatable, but still showing that, no, God is there for you, God is there with you each and every step of the way. So you should tackle people's needs, but also showing them that the Lord is always there with them. He's always there for them.
And Kanya, I believe we had a discussion on this some days back on the effects of social media and music, how secular music is different from Christian music. And we got to the final basis that, the final conclusion that secular music, people tend to relate. That's what secular music does, and people tend to fall prey to social media because of to secular music, because of being able to relate their pains, their sorrows, their joys, and everything. Yeah. I understand that, Gwenzi. I understand that.
Now I feel like we as Christians should take it upon ourselves to now create music that will relate to the people, so that they do not feel the need to then turn to secular music to feel their heartly desires.
Yeah.
Right. We have another question that says, can I use my social media platform to share my faith with people who do not know God?
Well, that's the whole point of social media. I mean, not everyone who follows you on your, say, Instagram account or Facebook account is Christian or is Adventist. So that the whole point of posting on social media is to draw people closer to Christ. Like I said, you might not go to them physically, but then through what you post, at first they might, scroll, they come across your page and they scroll. But over time, they might think, okay, what are they posting? What is it about exactly? And then they may interact with your posts, and over time, you may then bring someone to Christ through your social media.
Okay.
All right. So it is possible to share Christian content with someone who is not Christian or who does not believe in God, or rather, as it says, who does not know God. And actually, as she said, that way you will draw them closer to God, and actually is a way of evangelizing to them. Right.
But now the thing is, since social media and Christianity is not a loner based type of religion, how do we then, the question is posed again, how do we then try and invite our fellow brothers and sisters to say, can we use our talents in unison to further preach or to further push the gospel on social media? How do we go about that?
Is it directed to me? Okay.
Either.
Like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Voice It is there to bridge the gap between the youth and the church. So it's trying to bring people to Christ via through showcasing talents. Right now we're seated here. Not many people will be able to sit in front of a camera and speak. But then you are trying to bring people to God through your talents and through social media.
Also adding on to a point, bridging the gap between the youths. Like at church, you notice there are not a lot of youths here. What's going on, So I feel like if people find that it's still okay to come to church, and their fellow peers are doing it, then I think it also helps.
Right.
It's amazing.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you for watching. We have reached the end of our episode where we're tackling how we can then use our talents as well as social media to then glorify the Lord. Catch us on our next episode.
And don't forget to send your questions on our social media pages at Voice It on Instagram, Voice It on Facebook, Voice It again on YouTube. And please don't forget to voice it.